There are lots of things coming off the garden that are wonderful mixed into salads, and that's what we're doing today. This particular one is called Asian salad with snow peas, so you can tell what one of the primary ingredients are, but by no means one of the only ingredients that come from the garden. If you look at the snow peas that we have here, these have actually been blanched already, so they're a little bit limp, but you'll notice that the peas themselves are very, very small, and that makes the entire pod edible. If you look at these, you can see that they have gone beyond their prime, and the bulges of the peas inside are huge, and so these would be what you would expect to find on an English pea, which is why most of us in Oklahoma who are used to English peas have so much trouble eating them or picking them. The other thing that we're having in this one is green beans. Now this salad is actually, the recipe is from Australia, so they didn't call for the kind of green beans we usually have in our garden. They called for these yard-long beans or snake beans, whichever term you want to find. So the process of translating this into Oklahoman from Australian was great fun for me. The other change was that all the ingredients are listed by gram weight, or many of them, as opposed to pounds. And even then we tend not to use pounds, we use cups. And so the translation there was also a great deal of fun. We're going to use snow peas, green beans or yard-long beans, whichever you have, cut them into bite-sized pieces, and then broccoli. And what you do on this is you start with about 2 cups of snow peas, 1 cup of each of the other 2 vegetables, and you just blanch them just enough so that they're barely cooked. About 1 to 2 minutes for the snow peas and 3 minutes for the other 2. Well, 1 minute for the broccoli will also do it. And then chill them down in an ice bath. And you can do this a couple of days ahead when you're making those same vegetables for another meal. Go ahead and cook them then, put them in the refrigerator, and you'll have them ready so there's less cooking when you're going to do this. So those are ready. The next step is to get the dressing ready. And for that, I'm going to use just a teaspoon of red wine vinegar and 1 small red onion that you've chopped up. This one was a fairly large onion, so I used less than half, but it was still quite a bit. So keep in mind how much you like onion. We also have 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper, and then a tablespoon or a little bit more of cashews. Now these cashews are different from what we usually sit around and munch on while we're watching a football game. These cashews are not salted. So you'll find these over in the baking aisle as opposed to over in the snacking nuts aisle. Also to this, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of ginger, or excuse me, 2 tablespoons of ginger that have been grated up. That's about 1 inch or 2 of ginger. And then I have a tablespoon of peanut oil or other vegetable oil, just something that doesn't have a real pronounced flavor. Olive oil would probably not be the best choice here, but canola oil, corn oil, any of those is going to work. And then to add flavor, we're going to add 1/2 of a teaspoon of sesame oil. Also to this, we're going to add a tablespoon of lime juice and a teaspoon of lime zest that's been grated off the outside of the lime. And then we're simply going to stir these together really well so that we have everything blended. Now if you're somebody who doesn't like a lot of ginger, this may be more ginger than you would prefer, and you can easily cut it down. Some people don't like it at all, and we want to keep an Asian feel to it though. So if you're planning to leave it out, I probably would add some light soy sauce to it so that you still get that oriental kind of flavor to it. We're going to add our snow peas and our green beans and finally our fresh broccoli. When you're cooking the broccoli, since we're just basically blanching it, cook it in a lot of water. In fact, what I did since I was cooking all of these at the same time was that I blanched the snow peas first and then took them out with a strainer, and then not wanting to have to reheat more water, I simply then went and after I got the snow peas out in cooling in ice water, I added the green beans and did the same thing and did the broccoli last. But that gave me a lot of water, which meant the volatile acids in there dissolved into the water. That plus the very short cooking time kept the color nice and bright, which was something I was looking for. The final ingredients on this, we're going to add a little bit more color. We have some finely shredded, almost, not quite shredded, but finely chopped carrots. Now these I did on a mandolin with a julienne attachment, a fine julienne attachment. It took almost no time at all. I did it a couple of days ago by cutting them by hand, and it took a long time, so I recommend that method. The last ingredient are some bean sprouts. Now, if you are in a high-risk group for food safety issues, I would leave the bean sprouts out because they can be contaminated with E. coli, and the only way that you're going to get rid of that is to cook them, and the cooking is so long that they would be mushy. So if you are extremely young or very elderly, or if you have health conditions such as if you're undergoing cancer treatments or HIV positive or you have AIDS, then these should be left out to make sure that you aren't at risk by enjoying this. It's whether you have the bean sprouts there or not, it's a very colorful, flavorful salad. If there's any left over, it tends to marinate together, and if you don't have a lot left over, you can use it over just a bed of greens or a tossed green salad and incorporate it into that. I hope you'll enjoy this. It brings in a lot of the garden into one recipe and gives a lot of color and a lot of flavor for something really special this summer. For Oklahoma Gardening, this is Barbara Brown.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.